so glad you could join me today in our slightly chaotic yet ultimately super safe corner of the internet. Today we are doing a recap of the Flatlands, which is my brand new Sims 2 Build a City challenge, and we will be going over everything that happened in this first week in the Flatlands. So far, we've only done 2 episodes of the Flatlands, and you can find those episodes on my YouTube channel, Apparently Amanda Unedited, 7 days after they premiere. I've also added the first 2 episodes as highlights on my Twitch if you want to check them out there. And if you'd like to see the actual live gameplay of the Flatlands, I stream The Sims 2 every day except Monday and Thursdays. I am aiming to bring you a brand new Paralives rotational gameplay series called Moments in Molino. I tried Moments in Molino with the pre-mades a little while ago, and because I had a lifespan mod that I made myself, for some reason not for some reason, the reason was that I changed the ages in the lifespan mod and a bunch of people became teens, and that was just not going to work. So I started over Moments in Molino. We are not playing with the pre-mades just because I've started over with the pre-mades a few times now and I'm kind of fatigued of them. So we are going to make our own paras and play with them and get to know them as we do Paralives rotational gameplay. Last thing I'll say is that I'm on all social media at Apparently Amanda TV, except for Twitch, that's where I'm just Apparently Amanda. Without further ado, let's get into the lore. So we've only done 2 episodes of the Flatlands so far, and you're probably wondering what on earth happened to Valora. Valora was corrupted, my loves, and we had to say goodbye to Valora. So I know what you're thinking, Amanda, didn't you back up your neighborhood? Yeah, I did, but I didn't realize that the backups were corrupted, homies. So that meant like all of my backups were corrupted and there was no point going back to a backup because they were all fucked. Pardon my French. I decided after the 3rd time that it crashed while I was saving that I was going to let go of Valora, start something new. I do know what the problem is. It's because I tested a bunch of CC in Valora and some of that CC was broken along the way. I have removed it since then, but because it was broken at some point, it kind of just borked the whole save. Now I know you test all of your CC in a test hood, keep it away from your main hood, and we are starting the Flatlands with a clean slate. So I've decided to do the Flatlands a little bit differently from Valora in the sense that Valora started with 3 founding couples and the founders would be couples that moved in every summer. In the Flatlands, we are starting with single Sims. So we started with 4 single Sims, 2 females and 2 males. They all have their own households. They all are starting their own legacies. And the new rules is that they are allowed to marry townies. So all of my donor Sims are eligible for marriage. And in the first 2 episodes, we did see some of our donor Sims / townies become playable. I'm not going to go over the rules for the Flatlands because they're not really that important. Basically, what you need to know is that the founders are allowed to marry townies. They're not allowed to have romance with each other. If you want to own a community lot, you have to have over $25,000 in your family funds. And finally, a new founder will move in every summer. So obviously we played this first summer with our 4 new founders. And then what we'll do for the next little bit is play the next few seasons in the Flatlands for all of the households. And then when we start the next summer, we will officially add another founder. The first season that we played through in each household was summer. And the first household that we started in was the Martin household, led by Annie Martin. Annie is gay, she is a family / popularity sim, and she is an Aquarius. Annie is in the music career and her hobby is music and dance, so she likes to sing and she likes to play guitar. On the first day of the round, Annie met Bayri, and Bayri is one of our donor Sims, one of our townies, inspired by one of my real life friends who donated to the Canadian Mental Health Association on behalf of my channel. Nothing really happened at first when Annie first met Bayri. They kind of became friends, and I was hoping for more to happen, but I wasn't going to push it. In the meantime, Annie went ahead and adopted a kitten named Micah. After a couple of days of talking to Bayri on the phone, inviting her over, meeting her at community lots, Annie and Bayri became best friends. Annie and Bayri did a casual woohoo, and with my same-sex couples, I simulate a risky woohoo. What I'll do is I'll roll a number from 1 to 100, and if it's anywhere from 1 to 40, then one of those Sims will get pregnant as a result of that woohoo. And because it's a same-sex couple, I make it happen with the Sim Blender. Annie and Bayri actually had 2 woohoos a few hours apart, and when we were rolling for random pregnancy at the second woohoo, we realized we hadn't rolled for the first woohoo. So for the second woohoo, we got no baby, but then we rolled for the first woohoo and it was like a 5. And I was like, all right, Annie's getting pregnant. So the next morning, when Annie woke up with morning sickness, she rolled the want to get engaged to Bayri. So I went ahead and asked Bayri to move in and proposed to her. And the next day, they had a wedding party outside with a bunch of townies. And I think the only playable that was there was Scott Hart. The wedding was successful, and we successfully added a new playable into town, which was Bayri. Bayri is now Bayri Martin. She is Annie's partner. Bayri is bisexual and she is a family/romance sim. Bayri is a Virgo and she also came with a job when I added her into the household. She was a few levels into the slacker career, so I decided to let her keep that job. Bayri's hobby is science and she enjoys using the telescope as well as watching sports on TV. At the end of the first round in the Martin household, we have 2 Sims, 1 on the way, and a cat. Annie and Bayri at the end of this round are currently both 28 years old. The next household we visited in episode 1 was the Hart Household, led by Scott Hart. Scott is straight and he is a romance/fortune sim. Scott is a Libra and he's in the law career. His hobby is film and literature, so he enjoys writing novels in his spare time. He hasn't actually started one yet because he's been so busy with his romance sim life. And he also enjoys going in the hot tub. Scott does not have a partner yet, but what did we expect from a romance sim? On one of the first days of the round, Scott went to a community lot and he met Monica, which is one of our townies, and he decided to romance her and they had a woohoo in the hot tub. And then he rolled the want to have public woohoo with 3 Sims. So we decided to make that happen for him, and that's what we spent the round doing. Instead of focusing on someone for Scott to settle down with, we decided to have him have some casual woohoos, and then afterwards we made everyone go back to friends so that there was no romantic feelings lingering. Scott had woohoo with Monica, Jackie, and Beth. He woohooed them all in the hot tubs at the town square. It maybe wasn't very ethical, but Scott was happy afterwards. At the end of the first round in the Hart household, Scott is just one single sim by himself, but he is 28 years old. The next household is the Steele household, led by Elaine Steele. Elaine is straight. She is a knowledge/popularity sim. Elaine is a Pisces and she's in the military career. Elaine is quite active, so fitness is her hobby. She enjoys using the treadmill as well as using the punching bag. As soon as I started playing in Elaine's household, she had rolled the want to get a pet. So I decided to look at her interest in animals. She wasn't too interested in animals, so I gave her a cat because cats are less of a commitment for those who may not be super into animals but still want to have a pet and a companion. We adopted a little kitten named Lucy. Elaine met Mans on one of the first days, and he is another one of our townies/donor sims. They became friends first, and then I kind of just left them alone, and they ended up falling in love and falling for each other. They woohooed, they fell in love, and then I put them on a date, and they decided that they wanted to get married, and that was that. We did a really quick marriage. Instead of throwing a whole wedding, we just got married in the garage. Either way, Mans has joined the household, and he is another one of our townies that has become playable. Mans is now Mans Steele, and he is Elaine's partner. He is straight. Mans is a fortune/pleasure sim, and he's a Gemini. Mans also came with a job. He was in the slacker career, but at level 10. And I was like, we're not getting rid of that job. We'll keep it. Mans' hobby is nature, and he's into gardening as well as relaxing in the hot tub. He actually came with 2 hot tubs in his inventory, which was quite surprising, but we were able to sell one and use that money to build him his own little greenhouse. At the end of the first round in the Steele household, we have 2 Sims and 1 cat. Elaine is 28 years old and Mans is 27. The final household that we visited in the first 2 episodes and our final founder is the Hampton household with Carson Hampton. Carson is bisexual. He's a pleasure/knowledge sim. Carson is a Taurus, and the plan is for him to be a private business owner. I plan to have him make enough money in a random career for him to have $25,000 in household funds. Then the town treasury will be added to his household funds, and he can use that money to open up his own clothing shop, which he will run for the whole town. Carson is into the arts and crafts hobby. He likes to sew and paint. On Carson's first day, we met Britt, which is one of our townies, and Britt networked with him and asked him if he wanted to join the education career at level 3. Because we are just grinding money for Carson until we can get him into the career we actually want him to be, which is a private business owner owning a clothing shop, we decided to take that networking opportunity, and Carson started at level 3 in the education career. So hopefully we can make that money not as slowly. Carson has the lifetime want of going on 50 dream dates, so we decided to use the Find a Mate crystal ball to have a sim come to his house and go on a date with him. The sim in the neighborhood that he was the most attracted to was Jackie. Jackie is another one of our donor sims. Jackie's a close friend of mine, and she got a donor sim because she subscribed for like 4 months in a row or something crazy like that. Carson and Jackie had a little bit of a slow start, but then they really hit it off and they rolled the wants to get engaged to each other. Well, she rolled the want to get engaged to him. I said, let's make it happen. They had a quick little wedding in their bedroom, and Jackie officially joined the family, and she was our third townie to become a playable. Jackie is bisexual. She is a pleasure/knowledge sim. Jackie is Gemini, and she also came with a job. She came with a job at level 6 in the military career. We decided to let her keep that. I believe she's a flight officer. Jackie's hobby is games. She enjoys the gaming console as well as reciting poetry. At the end of the first round in the Hampton household, we have 2 sims, no pets. Carson is 28 years old and Jackie is 29. So that is all of our founding households. We will add another founding household in the next summer we have. But first, we have to go through fall and winter and spring and see what happens in the households we already have. At the end of the first season in each household, the town's treasury holds $2,000. Households are required to pay taxes at the beginning of each round, and unfortunately, this town treasury amount is wrong because Scott Hart forgot to pay taxes. My bad. To make up for this, when we go back to Scott's house, we are going to have him pay for 2 rounds of taxes. So far, there are only adults in the Flatlands. There are 3 males and 4 females. This means that the town's total population of playable sims is 7. And that is everything you need to know about this first week in Flatlands. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment down below and I will reply and answer your question or take your comment. At the time of recording this video, so far we have recorded 2 episodes of the Flatlands. We've played summer in each household. If you want to see the full episodes of the Flatlands, the unedited streams go on Apparently Amanda Unedited on YouTube 7 days after premiering. I've also featured the first 2 episodes of the Flatlands as highlights on my Twitch. I stream The Sims 2 every day except Monday and Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. On Fridays, we do a collab with my friend Lady Oaks, but every other day we'll be in the Flatlands, so when we start up this week, we'll be starting autumn. I'm hoping to bring you a brand new Paralyzed rotational gameplay series by August 28th. I'm saying August 28th because I've got a busy next couple of weeks, and I'm not sure if I can get it done in time for it to be the 21st, so we're going to say the 28th. And finally, I'm on all social media at Apparently Amanda TV, except for Twitch. That's where I'm just Apparently Amanda. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. If you liked it, feel free to leave a like or a subscribe. That's totally up to you. No pressure. I hope to see you in the next video, and I'd love to see you in stream. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Bye.